Are you a cuck? Let's talk about the word cuck. And more than that, let's talk about some of these trendy, alt-righty, 4chan-y terms that kind of developed and morphed into something else. I mean, I think that, 20 years from now, the word cuck is going to be like the word groovy. It's just going to be so dated sounding, and all these people that cuck, and everyone's a cuck, and you're a cuck. Are you cucking? And all I hear when I hear you're a cuck is it's somebody saying that I care what somebody else thinks about me, when all that person does all day, all night is care about what people think about them. That's the truth. Because the word cuck was meant to be like someone who believes in something, in a concept, in an idea, except for the fact that they're not going to vocalize that or defend that concept because they're afraid that their political, cultural, or enemies of their idea, opponents in a debate, are going to get mad at them, and they secretly want those people to like them or perceive them a certain way, so they're going to cuck to that. Naturally it comes from the term cuckold. I don't think I need to explain this, where it's like you're, a guy who likes to watch some other guy fuck his wife. It's something you love and cherish, but you'll let it get fucked in front of you because, for whatever reason, you think it makes you a better person or something like that. This was something that caught on with, like, the 4chan type guys. And it caught on with the alt-right guys in a big way. The alt-right guys, who, by the way, I still believe are like 6 guys in a basement. They're guys who mainly exist online, and oh boy, if you look at the content and the stuff that these alt-right guys write online, man, these are mythically badass men, aren't they? These are rock stars. These are John Wayne incarnate, except for the fact that when they ever do show up in person, they're a little disappointing. When I say that, I mean they're guys who don't know how to eat pussy whatsoever. They're guys who definitely can't talk to a girl, don't know how to make eye contact with you, can't get laid, and their whole thing is they have this creepy online badass character that then they try to play off in real life, usually with overtly squeaky voices. I get accused of being alt-right all the time because anyone who is right of anything, right of communism, is alt-right automatically in the liberal press because they don't know how to say, liberals don't know how to say, I just hate Republicans. They do, but a journalist can't just write, well, he's Republican, so you know what that means. It means he's the most evil person who's ever lived. They can't say, oh, he's libertarian or conservative or free speech, free market type guy, so worst person of all time. They can't really say that because they know it'll make them just look uncredible as journalists. So instead, they just say, this person's alt-right. They call me alt-right. In the case of the Proud Boys, we're alt-right. And then when we said, hey, we'll sue you if you call us alt-right, they started just saying far-right or ultra-right. Or, we're nationalists. What does nationalist mean? It means that you put your country before other countries, right? It means you love your country first. It's another word for patriotic, right? It's another word for, just an overt love for one's country and knowing that, you know what, I live here, this is my best interest to love this country first, and I don't care what other countries do. Here's a list of nationalists, by the way. Hitler was a nationalist. Joseph Stalin was a nationalist. And you know who else was a nationalist? Gandhi was a nationalist. FDR was a nationalist. JFK was a nationalist, right? Right? So how does that work? Fidel Castro's a nationalist, but also Teddy Roosevelt was a nationalist. Abraham Lincoln was a nationalist. Nationalist isn't good or bad in and of itself, okay? But they throw ultra, they're mega, ultra, super, duper nationalist. And then that turns into, you're the worst people of all time. Nationalists, the same way Hitler was a nationalist. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ. So you say, listen, I'm not like Hitler. I'm not alt-right. I'm not like Hitler, but I'm a nationalist. And the little alt-right trolley people, you're going to probably see a bunch of them in the comments below yelling the word cuck until their fucking face turns red. If they don't say cuck every 12 minutes, biologically, the vein in their forehead just bursts. These people have a devoid of masculinity. And they think that screaming and yelling, just like Antifa, it's no different than Antifa, really. It's a bunch of like beta male guys who are thoroughly ignorant and thoroughly convinced of their point, who think that if they just yell at you the loudest, they won. They didn't win. They always lose. And there's almost none of them. And most of them that do exist purely on the keyboard, which to me, it's like, yeah, listen, I go out in public all the time. I don't try and hide who I am. I don't try and hide where I live. I don't not announce things I'm going to do because I'm, afraid, somebody recognizes me. Everyone I work with, I refuse to act. I have, one woman I worked with years ago said, Paul, you know what your problem is? You're a bad politician. I asked, what do you mean by that? She goes, you don't know how to hide your contempt for things you don't like. And boy, was she right. I mean, I'm a descendant of Sicilians. We have two switches in our brains. We have loyalty and we have vindictive. And it's pretty much the same thing. Because the vindictive switch gets hit when you feel like somebody's not loyal to you for one reason or another. When you feel like, you're betrayed because you know how loyal you are. So then you turn it into, oh, is that how it's going to be? Great. I could stick with you through thick and thin, or I could be your enemy to the grave. And that's the old, what they call the slow Sicilian revenge. That's just in my, that's in my DNA. If there's one time I'll ever talk about DNA as far as like ethnicities go, that'll be it. So you get a word like cuck, and they cling to it because it caught on during 2016. People started going, oh, he's a cuck-servative. What's a cuck-servative? Well, it's somebody like John McCain, who, yeah, he's a rhino. He's a Republican in name only, but he will do everything he can to impress the talk show hosts that keep having him on. He's going to do everything he can, when he was alive, to impress the liberal side and show that he's the most liberal. I'll go with the progressives on every decision nowadays, not old John McCain, new John McCain, or later John McCain, because he's dead. So, he's not doing anything right now. That type of thing turned into, well, he's a cuck-servative. Okay, I understand that. I'm not big on rhetoric like this, really. Not really. I'll use it in the parlance of our times sometimes, but there are people who live and die by whether or not they're being called a cuck, Here's some other words that crept up into the conservative vernacular that, to me, people are either using them wrong or they just are using them as a crutch word to shut the conversation down. Same way the left does. Same shit we don't like about the left. Right? We don't not like the left just because they picked the fucking blue team and we're the red team. We don't like the left because of the things that they do, especially nowadays, and the ideas that they have and the principles that we don't share with them. Like the principle of equal outcome. No. That's a bad principle. We like equal opportunity. We principles like we should make sure we treat minority races extra good. No, I think everyone should be treated based upon their merit. You should treat everyone with dignity. You should treat everyone with respect. But regardless of their race, if that person's disrespectful, if that person has bad ideas, to me, it's way more racist and way more disrespectful if you know somebody has a bad idea or is saying something stupid and you don't call them out on it only because of their race and you're afraid to be called racist. That's like a cuck move. Other words include spicy, edgy. This became a thing where everyone's like, ooh, he had a spicy meme. What a spicy meme basically is a meme about Hitler or hating the Jews. Like, it's just kind of gross. It's kind of inappropriate. No one I know really agrees with any of them, but then they just hide behind like this softer, like, well, that was spicy. Oh, he has some spicy ideas. It's never he has a spicy idea, he wants to lower taxes. Ooh, that's a bit spicy. He has a spicy ideas, he wants to talk about the JQ constantly. He has some spicy ideas. He thinks that Hitler was the good guy of history and everyone who stopped him was wrong. I guess that idea is a little spicy. It's like, oh my God. For one thing, here's what you sound like when you say that. You sound like Kathy Lee and Hoda, okay? You sound like some female talk show host swirling a glass of white wine and going, well, that's a little spicy. It's like, this isn't fucking morning radio. Chill. You could call things what they are. You're allowed to say whatever you want. We're on YouTube. We could say, almost whatever we want. Another word is edgy. Oh, he's edgy. Same thing. Same word as spicy, only edgy got overplayed. Another word that people will say constantly, and it drives me crazy, because one of my favorite commentators, culturally, politically, however you want to put it, is Gad Saad. I first saw him on Joe Rogan, and he's a great guy, and I believe he coined virtue signaling. Virtue signaling, right? And it's a great word because you see people do it all the time. Like, you see people do something basically just to say, I'm a little better than you and a little more virtuous than you. And it's actually a good little term, except for the fact that people with really shit ideas started clinging to the virtue signaling thing. Because here's the thing. Anyone who knows me knows how I feel about the left. This is a little more nuanced of a conversation. So we're talking about what all the different stuff on people who even consider themselves the right, except they only have leftist ideas. We're talking about all the subtleties in that. So I'm not doing this simply to call out the alt-right. I'm doing this because there's a lot of different ideas out there. And I think we need to explain what they mean to different people. I think that's a big part of how we're going to communicate going forward. Because right now, everyone's using the same words and having different reactions to them because they mean different things entering your head. So when you see a guy like Gad Saad say virtue signaling, you go, oh, that's perfect. And it sounds really smart too. And if you memorize it and you use it at the right time, people think you're a really, really smart guy. So the alt-right 4chan weirdos, never met one that wasn't totally mentally ill and socially awkward, by the way, will go online and be like, they're just virtue signaling. Oh my God, look at him, virtue signal. Things like, I swear to God, and I've been called a virtue signaler for doing things like saying, I don't believe Heather Heyer should have died at Charlottesville. I don't think anyone should have died for going to a rally. I think it's stupid. On either side of the equation, I think it's stupid. What are you, virtue signaling? She was communist. Oh, so you're on her side? It's like, all you motherfuckers. Do you know how to keep two thoughts in your head at once? Do you know how to say, no, her ideas are crap, and she was kind of dumb for even going and thinking she's fighting the Nazis, and also, she shouldn't have died that day. But she had a heart attack. The car didn't even hit her. Yeah, okay, sure. Maybe she had a heart attack. I'm not her medical examiner, for one. For two, maybe she wouldn't have had a heart attack that day if a Dodge Challenger wasn't barreling towards her. Well, people were hitting that car with bats. Good point. We could discuss all that. People were hitting that car with bats, and it's fucked up, and those people shouldn't have been hitting that car with bats either. But is the solution there to, gas and smash? I don't think so. I don't think I want to be in the streets mowing people down just because they disagree with me. Plenty of people disagree with me. But that automatically turns into, so I guess he's virtue signaling because he's trying to discuss the nuance of this when we should just be smashing commies. What is he, a commie? Yeah, I get called that all the time too. I get called communist. Despite the fact that there's not a drop of communist blood in my body, there is nothing about me that is remotely socialist, communist, leftist, Marxist. It fucking gives me a headache to think about the stupidity of those ideas that those people have. Yet, you're not 1,000,000% for the Nazis. So to them, to the alt-right and to the left, the world is divided into Nazis and commies. So what was the United States in World War II? And what was Britain? They were commies. They were commies, really. We were communists. That's why we developed the best economy we ever had coming out of World War II, because of our communist sympathies. Does that make sense to anyone? Does anyone even read history or kind of understand how all this stuff worked decade by decade? They think they do because they read internet history of the secret Nazi history where they were all right, or they read the secret commie history where it would have worked if the United States or somebody didn't step in and fuck with it. But they don't really get it. And virtue signaling is something that should be reserved for people just bragging about something that's kind of like, I'm against rape. Okay, you're virtue signaling. Everyone's against rape. I don't want to see anybody die. Either do I. I don't think black people should be terrorized by the Klan. Yeah, all that is total virtue signaling. But, and especially being involved with the Proud Boys. We get this all the time. You guys are cucks. You guys are cucks. Why are we cucks? Well, because you put out a thing saying you're not alt-right and you don't let alt-right people in. Yeah, we've been doing that since the beginning. Do you understand? We've been doing that since the beginning. As far as the Proud Boys go. We've been doing all that. And this is just, I'm using an example because it's a funnel. It's a microcosm of an example that you could pull out and see the bigger picture. That we've been saying for forever, we don't let alt-right people in. We're not alt-right. This isn't an alt-right thing. It's more of a libertarian thing, but constitutional conservative type thing. And we all have a variance of ideas of how we think things should run. But hey, we all kind of fall under the banner of we love modern society. We love the modern world. We feel like the United States and the culture of ideas and free enterprise created the modern world. Free speech created the modern world. Being able to defend it with guns created the modern world. Due process created the modern world. And maybe the United States independently didn't invent all those ideas, but it all came together beautifully in a beautiful symphony that is called the United States, right? We could kind of agree on that. Well, if you're not a total fucking Marxist college student, you could agree on that with me. Do I sound unreasonable yet? Probably not. But, oh no, you're cucking. You want your liberal friends to like you. You want your liberal friends because you're a cuck, and you want them to be impressed with how liberal you are. So you say things like, we have no problem with Jews or black people. Matter of fact, we think Israel is great as a state unto itself. We're for it. We're not racist. Look at all the black guys that hang out with us. Why would we be racist and have black former military veterans and patriots and just, entrepreneurs and people like that? Why do we encourage them to come and hang with us? Because we hate them so much? Does that make any sense? The left will say we're secretly being racist, but we're letting a few black people through the cracks. And the alt-right will say, well, they're just cucking and hanging out with those guys. So basically you agree because you're the same fucking people. Your same personality with the same principles, which are you really don't have any principles other than defend the stupid thought in your head and not actual, grounded, this is how I really feel about things. It's really rare to see that in a leftist or alt-rightist, which is basically the same thing. Alt-rightist or leftist. Sorry, but you are. Fuck you. Yeah, get angry in the comments. Whatever. Write me emails. Blow me. You are, and you fucking know it. Oh, you're cooking right now. Look, he's sucking a guy's dick while someone fucks his wife. Sure, whatever. Because you know what? Here's the other thing. We lost this. I don't care what you think of me. Sticks and stones may break my bones. Do you remember that? Does it matter to you what other people think of you so much that getting called a name will make you just sit there and defend that you're not that name for forever? Personally, I don't give a shit if you call me a cuck. I also don't give a shit if you call me a conservative. I also don't give a shit if you call me a liberal. Because I'm not in this whole thing. I'm not doing the commentary journalism thing to be the most conservative guy out there, to show you the most pure form of conservatism. And look how pure and spotless my conservative record is. That's not a principle. Being conservative isn't a principle unto itself. It's the things that fall under the tent of being called a conservative. Free speech, gun rights, due process, all those things are what make a conservative. And then you look at the left and you see these are people who don't want any due process. These are people that want to take all your guns away while they believe they live under a tyrannical dictatorship. The alt-right, same thing. They don't give a shit. At the core of it, and I believe guys like Richard Spencer even has said this on podcasts and live streams and whatnot, that at the core of it, they're really not for free speech. They're doing the same thing that the left does. They're doing the same thing radical Islam does, which they're using our laws and free speech to their advantage. But if they ever took the reins, they'd immediately outlaw the ideas or even talking about the ideas that they don't agree with or like, because at the end of the day, they also think censorship totally works and it's an amazing concept as long as the ideas aren't my ideas. Well, that's a little stupid. It's a little stupid, and it's not how anything in any successful country has ever fucking worked, right? Especially a modern country. It's not how that works, but these are people that are all for that when you walk them into it at the end of the day. I don't care if you're communist. You know what? It's like, hey, I'd hook up with a liberal chick. I'd date a liberal chick, and I have. Their politics aren't the reason why we were together. I've never dated someone or hooked up with someone because of political reasons. I think that's the silliest thing I could think of, is being like, well, I didn't like someone's politics, so I can't date them, be their friend, get married or have kids or whatever. Doesn't matter to me. Like, that part of you is just a small part of you, and it's something that it always used to be. You could have the same values or similar values or disagreements on your values and vote for different people, and you could still love each other and be together and take care of each other. And now that's turned into something you can't even do. And now if you do something like that, oh my God, God forbid, the 12 guys in their basement might call you a cuck. And, oh God, oh, shucks, you guys, I don't want to be a cuck. Oh, I better just shut my mouth or agree with everything they say. Yeah, you're not shutting down our You're not shutting down our conversation. That's the point. You're not shutting down our ideas by calling us a cuck or by calling us racist, because we're not racist. I'm not racist. Conservatives aren't racist. The Proud Boys aren't racist. And you're not virtue signaling by saying that you're not racist. It's just a matter of fact. The sky is blue, I have black hair, and I'm not racist. So what? Oh, well, now you're playing their game. Okay, whatever. The problem is, if you never address it, then they could just say whatever they want and make shit up about you. And trust me on this, man. I've dealt with the media enough this past month. They do. They'll make up any old thing, not confirm it with you, and then just put it out there like it's absolute fact. And then other people will come to you and want to interview you based on the bullshit idea that they heard somebody else say. Because I've been in interviews like that, too, where I've been in interviews where people were like, so you don't like Jews? And I'm like, when, what? Who doesn't like Jews? You. Why do you think that? I read it somewhere that you don't like Jews. Great. You read it in some bullshit, Antifa blog? Or you read it in The Guardian? But that's the thing. And it's kind of crazy that these people could just make something up about you. And it's true. So you have to defend exactly what you are. And if one of your principles is, I don't judge people by the color of their skin, I judge them on their individual merit and their personalities, whether or not they're nice to me, and they could disagree with me on everything politically. I could root for the Devils and they could root for the fucking Rangers. Oh my God forbid. That is a bigger deal breaker for me, by the way, than somebody who says, oh, by the way, I voted for Hillary. If you're a Ranger fan, go fuck yourself. You could root for different football teams, baseball teams, whatever, but you could still kind of find a middle ground and get along under some other circumstance, right? Everyone works with somebody they disagree with, but you work with them, and you might even like the person and have a laugh with them every now and again. And I think that we forgot that, and the reason we forgot that was all led by the left, who really doesn't have a good sense of humor. The alt-right thinks they have a good sense of humor, but their sense of humor is just shit posting. It's just like, let's harass someone and then laugh when they react to it. And say, like, go fuck yourself. Oh, I got him to pose. And they're jacking off in front of all their friends. And they fucking think that they're the great. Look how great I am. This guy who's a writer, this guy who's a filmmaker, and he's doing all this cool stuff, he reacted. He told me to go fuck myself. Ooh, I must have really been spicy and edgy to get under his skin. And then they go back to not getting laid. Good job, fellas. And that's the thing, man. I don't want to be associated with people like that. Everybody I know doesn't want to be associated with people like that. And it's one of the reasons why it's important to clarify, yeah, man, no. Huge difference between somebody like me and somebody like them. We don't get along. God damn, even just with Proud Boy magazine, if you post something that says, hey, this is what we're not a racist group, we don't give a shit what your religion is, we don't give a shit, we're not talking about stuff like that in our meetups, it's not even a factor. We don't let black people in. Black people have always been there from day one. It's not a let's let them in because we're white. And by saying do you let black people in implies that it's all white people, especially when it comes to a club or a group or an organization like Proud Boys, but even a larger spectrum, conservatives. They let Jews be conservatives. No, Jews have been conservative. A lot of Jews have been conservative their whole life. Guys like Ben Shapiro have been conservative. Ezra Levant has been a conservative, right? Right? No one's going to argue they're not conservative. You might disagree with them. You might not like their approach, but they're conservatives. Nobody said, it wasn't like one day happened and we cut a ribbon at the door and said, okay, those guys, those brown people, black people could come in. Alan West, you're allowed in. Nobody ever did that. Nobody ever did that. So it's kind of this word weasel misdirection thing that they do. And then, like I said, you have a side screaming that you're a cuck. We're not cucks. We don't know what cuck is. You're making up words like gender cis or gender queer, or making up words like whatever, just some term to blanket everyone under to shut down what we say. But we're going to keep saying what we say as long as we're free to do so, and that's the bottom line.